Bed defenses. There's so many of them, and yet for some reason, people decide to use this one bed defense so often in solo bed wars. I'm just going to be talking about solo bed wars, not doubles, threes, or fours. This is specifically for solo. Now, you've probably seen this bed defense before, because I'm pretty sure I see it in almost every single solo game I play, and this is the hot dog bed defense. You build it with 16 wood and a couple of blocks, which is usually wool, and you place it in this formation and then put the wool over the top. It sort of looks like a hot dog, and that's why it's called the hot dog bed defense. Now, there's also a different way you can build the hot dog bed defense, which results in the same amount of materials, you just build it offset by one block, and this is to make it so that players have to break a total, or a maximum of 3 blocks of wood to get into your bed. Other than that, it's built the same way. Like I said earlier, the reason you would want to build it this way is you have to break a maximum of 3 blocks of wood instead of just 2 blocks of wood, but nobody really falls for that anymore. Now, with the normal hot dog bed defense, this is slightly different, and you have to break either 2 blocks of wood or 1 block of wool and 1 block of wood. And you might think, well, that's not that bad. What's the issue with that? Well, the thing is, in Bed Wars, when you're trying to rush a team, usually the outcome is you kill the enemy, and then you break their bed, and then you final kill them. And the hot dog bed defense actually takes less than 5 seconds to break, meaning that if you kill them, you can still break their bed. So it's not actually really any better than 1 layer of wool, except in one case. In solo Bed Wars, sometimes if you just have 1 layer of wool, someone might try to break your bed defense mid-fight, but they can only do that with the hot dog bed defense if they have an axe or shears, and that's the one reason the hot dog bed defense is ever so slightly better than 1 layer of wool. But the hot dog bed defense isn't the only bed defense that people make out of wood and wool. There are actually a couple others, including the turtle bed defense and the sandwich bed defense. The turtle bed defense is built in a slightly funky way. You place the wood around the bed defense in 1 layer as normal, if you were doing 1 layer, but then you extend it on every single axis by 1 block, so you basically just extend the 1 layer of wood around the bed, and then you just fill in the rest of the area with wool. And this is actually pretty much the same thing as the hot dog bed defense, because it's either 1 layer of wool and 1 layer of wood, or just 2 layers of wood, so it's honestly not any better. Now, with the sandwich bed defense, it's actually, honestly, probably worse, because in this one, the way to build it is actually even more weird. You put the wood around in a, 3x2 formation, and then you fill in the center part with wool, and then you add the front and back to the front and back. And this is actually even worse, because when you're trying to break this bed defense, it's either 2 layers of wood, 1 layer of wool and 1 layer of wood, or just 2 layers of wool, which is even worse than the hot dog bed defense and the turtle bed defense. And now you might be thinking, well, if I shouldn't use these bed defenses, what should I use? And honestly, I just don't think you should buy wood at all. First off, because in Bed Wars, I think it's quite important to get iron armor as early as possible, especially when you're in a 1v1 fight that's going to last a while. Having iron armor before your opponent is a very big advantage, because you're going to have a gear advantage for a very long time before they finally have enough to get iron armor. So I think it's just better to wait and then get iron armor. And instead of using wood, I honestly think that you should use either 1 layer of wool, which is very cost efficient, it doesn't cost that much, or you could use 2 layers of wool, which I think you should probably only do on a fast iron map, because I think you're spending too much wool early game on a slow iron map, but adding a second layer doesn't take too long, and it also prevents people from breaking your bed mid-fight if they have shears. Unless they have shears, sorry. And if you really wanted to, you could actually just not use any bed defense at all in solo. Now, if for some reason you really need to use wood and you want to use wood in solo, I recommend making something called the TNT bed defense. I don't know if this is actually the name that the creator called it, but it's the only name I know of, and that's because it's effective against TNT. You build it by placing one layer of wool and then adding a layer to the top, and then you just fill in the rest with wool. And the reason this bed defense isn't just as bad as the other bed defenses is because, well, it also has one layer of wood and one layer of wool, or just 2 layers of wood, and it also provides protection against TNT. It's not an 100% chance that it will never expose it, but if your enemy places the TNT on the top wood part, then it actually won't expose the bed if they place it on the wood. Now, if they place it on the wool or something, it will still expose the bed. But even with that defense, I really don't think you should use that one. So in conclusion, you really should not use the turtle bed defense, you really shouldn't use the hot dog bed defense, and if you really want to, you could use the TNT effective one. You really shouldn't use the sandwich one either. And in solo bed wars, you should really either use no bed defense, a layer of wool, or 2 layers of wool. The rest of this video is just going to be Bed Wars gameplay because I have extra Bed Wars gameplay, so there's not going to be anything else.